my background stuff?
You mean to make yourself fuzzy or different?
Background, yeah.
Let's see. Is that the three dots? The three dots at the bottom next to the red button?
Yes, I went to the three dots and
there should be something backgrounds and effects.
Yeah, that's not what's showing up.
I don't know, because I can make backgrounds and effects, and like I can have a microbe background. How do you like that? We play around with microbe backgrounds in our team meetings. I don't know if that's it's kind of busy.
But I don't know. It's kind of cool.
Okay, and then that, I don't know, is that BiotiQuest? Is that, can you read that the right direction? Because for me, it's backward. Okay. Now, see, and then if I put a background up, you can't see the book. So I have to undo the background and appearances. Or figure out exactly where to hold this, which I can do that. So our book tonight is Dirty Girl. This is, you know, we've been talking about toxins and our total toxic burden. Well, you know, I kind of also got down that rabbit hole because there's a new, I mean, I think maybe not everyone on this call knows, but I got into this whole thing because of Parkinson's. And Dr. Ray Dorsey is a neurologist who, he published a book, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 years ago called Ending Parkinson's. And his newest book that he just came out with is called The Parkinson's Plan. And in that book, he goes into quite a bit of detail about the toxic burden that we're dealing with. And, you know, Parkinson's is very low on the genetic risk, but very high on the environmental risk. And so he goes into quite a bit of that, including, you know, if anybody's familiar with the military lawsuit with Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, where so trichloroethylene is basically dry cleaning fluid. And if you think about the military, they wear, you know, they're wearing uniforms all the time. And so they had dry cleaning facilities for the uniforms on base. And so that, anyway, it had leached into the water. And so over decades, all of these soldiers and their families who lived on the base were exposed to trichloroethylene, and they've found a pretty strong correlation with that with Parkinson's. So here I'm turning off my visual effects because it drives me nuts with my floating head with stuff around. So anyway, and I think she does also cover that in this book. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting, you know, she's a doctor and she didn't realize how much she was being exposed to things on a daily basis. So I don't know, is anybody on here that read the book? Did anybody read the book? I know, Chris, I think I saw you on here. You read the book, didn't you?
I did. I read it. It was, I can imagine reading this, if this were your first knowledge of the environment and all these factors, and I think it would be, I mean, it was even overwhelming to me, even though most everything I had some, in some places very little, but some awareness that that's something that I should be addressing, and other places I felt pretty caught up on it. But I don't know, she had sort of a way of presenting it, and her attitude, I think, was, you know, basically all the way through, you can do this, you know, and we can, us, of course, we can help you if you need help, or you can find help other places. But it's almost like a textbook, Martha, you know, going through all the different areas that we've had to consider as people who are involved with people who have degenerative disease or cancer or whatever. It's I don't know.
Well,
Did you feel it covered most everything? Not so much on the microbiome, did you think?
Not so much on the microbiome. So, you know, she covered, you know, a lot of what the exposures are and taking steps to reduce your exposures and all of that, which I think is, you know, actionable. You know, we need those awareness first, and then that sort of one step at a time. Like, how do I just take one step of the, you know, the thing that I'm most exposed to? But, you know, through the process of really looking at this total toxic burden, you know, first really through the lens of Parkinson's, but also through, you know, what they call these obesogens. So, you know, so many people are struggling to lose weight. And actually, you know, the weight on their body may be what's protecting them from the toxins.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's really underappreciated. And so, I mean, I dog-eared lots of pages in here, but I did take I took her little quiz, and, you know, I scored like a 9. So I was in the good range, but, you know, as I was going through and scoring it, you know, I was thinking maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when I was still living in Denver and less focused on this stuff, I think I might have been a little bit higher, you know, so I might have been above that you're doing good range. So I don't know if Debbie, your hand's up.
So years ago, I had read somewhere, and there's 2 of me. Is that why I'm?
You're on twice somehow.
I know.
Oh, you do know that? Okay.
Yeah. So a long time ago, I had read that.
I think we're getting feedback because one of them needs to be muted.
I think that one is muted. There. Is that better?
Yeah. Better.
Okay. So I had read a long time ago, when something inflammatory is in your body's mechanism to surround it with fat. So that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yep. You know, one of the other things that's interesting to me, and I keep muddling it over because so many of us are yogurt makers. I mean, I know, Debbie, you don't make the milk, you know, dairy-based yogurts, but, you know, a lot of us who have kind of been in the Dr. Davis microbiome space, you know, we're making dairy-based yogurts.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, some of the things, I actually learned something in the last couple of weeks, maybe, or month. So you remember Dr. Magarinos, who was on here.
Mm-hmm.
I sent him some information about the quaternary ammonium compounds in cleaning solutions, and those and their impact on the glycocalyx and what I was looking at in Parkinson's. And, you know, there's a connection with dairy and Parkinson's. And Dr. Magarino's father was a dairy scientist. And he said, oh, this is really interesting, because he remembered when he was younger going to the lab or wherever his dad worked and helping him clean with these compounds. And his father now, I think, has dementia. And so we were talking about that a bit, and whether or not his test was going to specifically test for those. So he was checking with his chemists to see that. But one of the things I learned from Dr. Ninham is like these cleaning compounds, and you think, okay, well, they've got to clean these big dairy vats that they make the yogurt in. I mean, they have to be cleaned out. And, the solutions that they clean them out actually cling to the surfaces of the vats. So then they're kind of still there when the next batch goes in.
Wow.
So
Dr. Davis is claiming that they were cleaning with Ryotari yogurt, not yogurt, the bacteria. I don't know if this is the same guy that you're talking about, but this is what one of the
what I
stories that
do
he was
know
telling.
is that they do use Ruteri
Ruteri, yeah.
in some factory operations because it is effective against pathogenic bacteria. But I think they still are cleaning, they're cleaning up, like they're not just using Ruteri as their cleaning solution. I'm pretty, I'd be pretty confident of that. So, that was a question I have for myself, because I'll say it's anecdotal, but I go through sort of waves of making the yogurt and not making the yogurt. And when I'm making the yogurt, I do feel like maybe it's a little bit harder for the weight to come off. So I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but I make it with a lot of fat in it. So maybe that's
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I make it with half and half, of course. And even that I don't eat it every day, but I make 3-4 different yogurts. They sit in the refrigerator and I eat a spoon or something every other day. And that's a lot of fat, actually. So, yeah, I have noticed this too. And I don't think I'm going to make it anymore, honestly. Especially after watching everything now on this summit. I don't think so.
I mean, there's so much they've done to our milk supply. What I will say, I've been making my yogurt lately. Before I was buying the, organic, pasteurized at the grocery store, and I'm still buying at the grocery store, but there's actually a local dairy here in Kentucky that is in glass bottles, and it is low pasteurized. And I actually noticed one time I left some of the half and half in the refrigerator when I went off on a trip. And, you come back and if you've left milk over its expiration date, it usually smells horrible. Well, this actually had turned to yogurt. And, it smelled lovely. I didn't eat it, but I was like, I think this is a better quality of milk. And so I have been making it out of that, but just the dairy part of it, I found interesting. And are you referring to the Kick Sugar Summit?
Yes, I do. I do. And I watch every single one of it. So it's very exciting. I am so thankful for this summit. It's fantastic. But now I've decided to make all my so-called yogurts to a cheese. And there was a lot of way that I threw it away. I don't want my insulin to. And actually, I kind of followed the insulin. And I've noticed that since I started eating those yogurts, 3 years ago, my insulin jumped from 7 to 10, even 11. And I believe it's the yogurt because I don't see any other thing that has changed since I started the program. So yeah, I made cheese this time, and that will be it. And then I'm gonna take only tablets. That's my decision.
Well, I'll probably still make some yogurt, but I'm just not gonna. I'm just going to be more judicious about how much of it I eat.
Yeah, I do make Bulgarian yogurt, and this I will never quit. But it's very different. It's very sour, and it's a different bacteria, etc. So there is no gain weight on those. So I'll do this, but otherwise too many yogurts. Yeah, you're right.
It's so funny.
So Martha, do you feel the problem with the dairy and the reason that she, in the book, is she relating it more to how it's processed or that we're not baby calves, the natural part of it? And what do you think? Are you feeling the problems you might be having with the dairy is from the processing and the cleaning of the vats, and rather than that we are not acclimated, many of us, to dairy?
I think, like, for me, it's the cleaning stuff is really what kind of sparked me thinking about it, really thinking about it a bit deeper. And the book is not great for me, like looking up where the dairy is in here, because I dog-eared so many pages.
I did too.
But I think one of our issues with dairy is the pasteurization and what that does with the denaturing of the proteins. And milk, like raw milk, is full of lots of incredible enzymes, lactoferrin, there's immunoglobulins, there's all of these bioactive compounds in raw milk. But when you pasteurize the milk, you denature all those proteins and render them inactive. So, lactoferrin helps us deal with iron. The immunoglobulins kind of help train the immune system. And when you denature those, the signals in the gut are lost. I have been thinking about how culturing your own yogurt may restore some of the things to the milk, but it's not going to restore lactoferrin, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think bacteria make lactoferrin. And I mean, I have a book somewhere on the bioactive peptides and compounds in milk, and it is pretty amazing. But now we have the A2, A1 cow issue, and I think that is part of the issue. But I actually think probably the bigger issue is the chemicals in the cleaning, and the fact that on the larger scale dairy production that is run by I'll call it the dairy mafia. It is a dairy cartel, and the dairy cartel is very much against raw milk. I don't understand why, but now I sort of forgot where I was going, but they're pushing farmers to produce more milk, and throughout the winter, cows are being fed a lot of grain and feed to continue the milk production. And a lot of those grains are glyphosate laden, and those cows are not healthy.
Mhm.
So, I think it's really understanding the source of your milk, and
Mhm.
it's not necessarily the yogurt itself, it's the source of the milk, and understanding that. Karen, your hand's up.
Yeah, but even if you understand the source of the milk, I still see just issues. Like, I mean, I live very close to Sally Fallon Morrow.
Yeah.
And so for a while I was buying her raw milk to make my yogurt with. But I never liked the texture of the yogurt that resulted. And when I talked to Dr. Davis about, it's like, well, I want to use this raw milk. What do you think? Because I believe her cows are mostly, excuse me, they're hybrid, but they're like mostly A2
Yeah.
with a soupçon of A1 thrown in. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. But when I talked to Dr. Davis, he's like, well, I really think you need to pasteurize that raw milk, because if there's one errant, problematic microbe in there, you're fermenting this stuff for 36 hours. You're going to multiply that for 36 hours. You're multiplying all the microbes. And if there's one bad microbe, and it's not hard to imagine that one bad microbe could escape, even with the most diligent, inspection. And so after that, it's like, I mean, now I use A2 half and half, but it is ultra pasteurized because I can't find any A2 half and half that isn't ultra pasteurized. It's just not available. But the texture is great, and I don't know. I'm just kind of suspending my disbelief on that. And I don't, and I mean, they're really judicious about how they clean, but I don't know how they clean their vets. I have no idea. I've done the farm tour numerous times, but I don't know what they're doing.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, sort of back to the overwhelming list of things here. It's like, okay, well, what can we focus on to, take one step in the right direction? And, is that avoiding things that are like plastics, or, it's interesting to me. I have one of those air filters, a Jasper air filter. And if I cook, anything on the stove, like let's say a hamburger or a piece of bacon or something, I mean, the air filter goes crazy. I mean, it goes up to like, I don't know, 500-600 parts per million or whatever in the air. So, and then I live in a town that has the largest distillery in the United States, and there's a black fungus that gets on the trees and the houses and everything. And it's like, okay, I'm breathing that in all day. So, I mean, that's partly why I do have the air filter, but, I don't know. So if you're going to pick your one thing to try to protect yourself, for me, it's the water supply. I actually wrote a blog a couple of weeks ago. I might have mentioned this actually in another call. I'm in the state of Kentucky. I grew up here. Kentucky has had more health issues longer than almost any other state in the union. It has a severe obesity, heart disease, diabetes issues, and it has the largest watershed of any state in the union. And so, I was looking at, okay, well, that watershed is coming from all those northern states, all their agriculture, all their pharmaceutical pollution, all of these things. And so to me, if there's one thing you can do, it's really focus on a clean water source. And then the other author of this book, Michael O'Kuhn, is the other author of the Parkinson's Plan with Ray Dorsey. And he posted a map on, I think it was LinkedIn this week, that actually showed the presence of that trichloroethylene that I was talking about, the Camp Lejeune, the dry cleaning. And the largest, I mean, if you look at the map, it's basically funneling down into the watershed in Kentucky where the highest exposure of trichloroethylene is.
Wow.
So I was asking some people at my yoga class this week, I said, is there anybody around here who is like a water activist or like, but you know, is focusing on what's going on with our water? Because, you know, water treatment wasn't designed to deal with these kinds of things. So if you're going to clean those things out of your water, you're going to have to take action yourself.
Hmm.
Have I silenced everyone?
No.
So,
What,
you know,
may
Oh,
I
go ahead.
ask what's your favorite water filter system? We have a RO system from a local place, but I guess it's a matter of trying and testing, or
yeah, so
Yeah.
I had a company, I think it's called Personova. I met actually at an agriculture conference because he was talking to the farmers about their water quality as well in their crops. And so I basically sent water samples. He showed what the kind of the main pollutants or issues were in our public water.
Mhm.
And of course, if you're on a well, you definitely need, you need sampling either way, because most of the sample data at the water source is not also taking into effect the pipes sort of running out to where you are. But anyway, they tested the water, and I have this, fancy water filtration system that's got like special filters for different things that were an issue here. But
okay.
it's also very difficult from a maintenance perspective because it has a UV filter in it also that treats the water with UV light. And that broke back in May. And, they sent me the part. So I had the part, but I have been trying to get my plumber out here, and he's finally coming on this Thursday. But I've been trying to get him out to put that part on since May.
Jeez.
So, what I would say is, find a good system that's not so complicated that you can't find another plumber to deal with it if you need to, because, that's a challenge itself.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I did have one that was, so I had one in our last house. We had an RO filter that had these dials. You could change the pH of the water and stuff. And it was called a Vesta H2, I think. Let me see if I can, let's see. Yep, Vesta H2. And that was actually recommended to me by a scientist I knew. It wasn't cheap though. Well, it looks like it's not cheap now. I don't know if this one looks a little bit different than the one I had, but this one's called an Alcaviva 9. But that one's over $2,000. And what I typically tell people is, even a Brita filter is going to help. That carbon filter with Brita is going to help you get some of the material out. And I think now the refrigerators put some kind of a carbon filter in them too. So you have to kind of keep an eye if you're using water on the refrigerator. Debbie, your hands up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first of all, we have a Berkey filter here in the apartment where I'm staying. But one thing, I don't know if this book talked about it, but I've really been working on cosmetics. So I've been getting OGEE cosmetics lately. And it's interesting because Jenny McCarthy, the actress whose son was autistic? So she has started an organic makeup company, and the feature or the shining star is her mascara. And it's supposed to be super fabulous. It's organic. And she's pre-booking it now for deliveries for mid-November. And then, so I'm trying to do that. I didn't throw everything out. I just, as things, were depleted, I, got organic. And then also I stopped using nail polish on my hands, and I'm only using vegan nail polish on my toes, and sparingly. So, and I'm trying to find all organic lotions, since your skin is your largest organ. I'm trying to, but it's super expensive.
Yeah, it is. Well, as you can see, I rarely wear makeup. Although my podcast person is like, she had me talk to somebody who does like coaching for, how to have your background right and your face. It's like, what you get is what you get. I mean, I have rarely worn makeup for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
I will put makeup on if I am going to an event or a meeting or something, but even now I'm super limited in what I will put on my face. And I don't even wash my face with any type of cleanser. I wash my face with water.
Mm-hmm.
And I do use like a tallow based moisturizer sometimes.
Yeah.
But I don't even put I don't put stuff on my skin. I do not put stuff on my skin. And I'd like to say that's because I was super aware of the skin microbiome pretty early on, because a friend of mine made the spray called Mother Dirt.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I was as aware, certainly not as aware as I am now, of all the chemicals in the makeup. And I talked to my daughter about that a lot, because in here it's the symptom list in the back when you're scoring yourself is, a lot of the things we see today with our younger people is, that's driving anxiety and feelings of stress. And so much in the beauty products is like all of these chemicals in the beauty products. And then they're the whole generation, like I would say, they grew up with Abercrombie and Fitch, which was the disgusting, overwhelming scented stuff of those artificial scents.
Yeah.
And it's like Axe or whatever, I don't even know the names of the products, but you walk by an 18-year-old boy or, some college boy, and man, you can smell them from, 10 feet away, the artificial scents that they have on. And, she does talk about that in the book, the fragrances and kind of what those are made of, or what they
well, I know. And then also perfumes and candles and things like that people
candles.
Yeah, I mean, my friend a friend's daughter that has some depression issues, and she moved into an apartment by herself, and she's like, oh, I just really want a scented candle. I was like, eek.
Well, I think also, and she doesn't really talk about this in here. I mean, she's talking about the chemicals that come out of the candles or whatever, but I may have mentioned this a while back, but when I first started the Bio Collective, I got this strange phone call from a nonprofit in New Jersey. And I think they were like trying to figure out what I was up to. And they do all this research for like the food and fragrance industry. And, essentially they're a nonprofit, but they're totally funded by the, food ingredient and fragrance industry. And they're probably the most knowledgeable on how to develop synthetic molecules to trick your senses. So, your sense of smell, your sense of taste, and the receptors in your gut that tell you whether you're hungry or not. And so actually from that phone call, it made me dig into that stuff and sort of shock myself because, the auditor in me is always never take anything at face value and examine the evidence for yourself. So it always sends me down these rabbit holes. And, I went pretty deep down the rabbit hole of all these artificial flavors and scents. And, now there's a whole another arm of the industry that is using fermentation to produce, I mean, I guess they could classify them as natural, but let's say vanilla or something like that. So anyway, I'm talking too much. Sharon, you've got your hand up. But now I don't see you. We'll come back to Sharon. Are you back, Sharon?
There she is.
Did you have a question or a comment, Sharon? You're on mute.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
You
Yes.
can hear. Oh,
But now I can't hear you.
see me? Now you cannot hear me. Okay, all right. So I am trying to get back in. Hold on 1 second. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, fine, thanks. So, what I wanted to say is that I looked for all different kinds of water filtration systems. I live mostly on eastern Long Island in New York, and the soils are very toxic with pesticides and runoff. And the water, unlike New York City, where the water comes from the Hudson Reservoir, so it's pretty high quality water in New York City, Long Island does not have such clean water. And I tried a number of different options, and all of these systems, they were willing to sell you like a whole house system for many thousands of dollars. And none of them would give you the specs on what exactly is being filtered out. But I did find one company where they gave you very good specs. It's called Clearly Filtered. And I believe they have whole house systems, but I wasn't as ambitious. I felt like my drinking water is the most important. And you can buy a pitcher, I think it was like under $100, and you have to change your filter every 3 months, or depending how much you drink. But they give you the specs on over 100 toxins, toxic metals, arsenic, glyphosate, and exactly what percentage is filtered out. And this is one of the rare companies that I found will actually tell you this. And friends of mine who have expensive water filtration systems, when I ask them, do you know exactly what's being filtered out of your water? None of them could tell me, and they spend thousands of dollars. So what's the point? If you don't know exactly what it's filtering, you're just wasting your money. And there are a lot of people that are willing to take your money. So I just want to mention, if you want to start small and at least filter your drinking water, this is the best one I found on the market, called Filter.
Oop, let me see if I can pull that up here. clearly filtered?
Yes.
Let's see. Clean drinking water, the clearly filtered pitcher. Here we go. I'll show you a picture. You can see I have tab overload.
So it's pretty easy to use because you just filter the water. You put the water in the pitcher and let it filter through. It does take about a half an hour to filter through. It's pretty dense filter because it filters out a lot of things. So I filter a full pitcher and I put a whole pitcher in the refrigerator. So that way I don't have to wait when I run out. I always have some in the refrigerator. But it's very simple. You just put the water on the top of the filter and let it filter through.
Yeah. So it's similar to a Berkey, but that filter looks, I mean, not a Berkey, a Brita, but it looks like a much more dense filter than a Brita.
Yes, and actually,
Nope, you're breaking up.
about Brita, I think Brita to water. And oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? If I sit closer, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little bit.
Yes. I'll hold the iPad closer. With Brita specs, it looked like the Brita actually added aluminum to the water. So with my concern about Alzheimer's and ingesting too much aluminum, I don't use that anymore. I'm looking around for a good one for New York City. I don't think it needs as big a filtration device as the clearly filtered. But I'm afraid about the Brita because of the addition of aluminum to the drinking water.
So that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that aluminum, but there's a lot of sources of aluminum.
But aren't those both plastic?
That's true. The container, I think, actually is plastic, but I don't know if it's, I think there are probably different kinds of plastic and some are more toxic than others. But that's a very good point, which I have to say I didn't investigate. I guess, though,
Yeah,
you
that's
could
good.
fill water and then
You
put
can
it right in.
filter it and then put it in a glass jar.
Yeah.
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 I mean, the Berkey's in, a stainless steel container, and that actually tells you everything you're filtering out. And then you can buy an additional filter for, I think, chlorine or something. It's an expensive system, but when you filter it, I mean, you can get the large one and then you've got enough to use for cooking and everything all day long.
That BERKY?
BERKEY, I think. Yeah.
VU,
Or sorry.
UR, isn't it? VUR, I think.
I think it's BER.
Okay.
Yeah, BERKEY.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
And the additional filter on the Berkey is for fluoride. And I will say that when you put that on, it does give the water a very weird taste. But I didn't need it anyway because I didn't have fluoride in my water.
Oh,
This is
lucky
this
you.
is what a Berkey looks like. Well, yeah, there's another nutritionist that's a friend of mine who was talking about aluminum and fluoride kind of separately, but when it goes into the water system, you get aluminum fluoride combinations, because it's all mixing together. So, that's something you definitely want to be mindful of. Karen, your hands up.
Oops, I just muted myself. Yeah, well, I wanted to get back to something you said about makeup. I too stopped wearing makeup a long time ago. It's probably,
You look beautiful.
oh, shucks. Now I owe you money. Um, but I don't miss it. I don't miss wearing any makeup at all. I'll wear lipstick, but I stopped with the mascara, with the rouge, with all that stuff. And I used to be an actor another lifetime ago, so I was definitely doing makeup, and I would have to do my own makeup sometimes for shoots or something like that. And even now, if I'm doing I volunteer for AARP Maryland, so if I have to go on television, I might put some powder on, but that doesn't happen very often. But in my day-to-day life, I'm not wearing any makeup except for lipstick. And I also only wash my face with water. I
Yeah.
stopped using soap a long time ago, and I don't miss the soap either. I use a konjac sponge or cognac, that sponge made out of seaweed. Some of them have
Yeah, I
turmeric.
have one of those. Yep, I have one of those too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's what I use. I just use that, and then I put on my goat milk, moisturizer, and then I just bebop along, But
Well, I actually do use that the stuff that Chris gave me that is
From Dr. Davis?
from Dr. Davis. So I have used that, not every day, but I have used that.
what stuff is that?
Oh, he had I wish I could I have to find the recipe. I'll bring it next time. It was, oh gosh, what's in it?
It's
Three- yeah,
castor
three-
oil.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah, castor. Oh, you've got it. Do you have it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great,
Yeah,
Jen.
it's 50 cc's or milliliters, same thing, of jojoba oil,
Oh,
and then 50 of castor oil. And then this gets tricky to measure, but what I found is that slightly more, like 1.5 of that of milk thistle. So milk, if you buy it, it's also called silymarin,
Yeah.
but it comes in all kinds of different ways. So the proportions are almost like a third, except add more milk thistle to that. It makes a lot.
and
But-
this is to put on your face, or?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
his, I don't know, his special blend. It's super oily, but it soaks in fast.
Interesting.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah.
Well, some woman was raving about how it helped with spider veins or on her legs. And so I was like, well, that really works. Holy cow, so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't put it on my legs, but maybe I'll try that.
Supposedly helichrysum oil is supposed to be good
Oh, yes.
for spider veins and that kind of stuff.
But it's so bloody expensive. Oh my God. Like if you go to doTERRA, like a 5 milliliter bottle will cost well over $100.
Yeah.
If you get it from doTERRA, or if you get it from Vibrant Oils, they very, very expensive. So it better get rid of spider veins and bring on world peace too, at the rate, given what it costs.
What was that again? What was that again that was so expensive?
Oh,
Helichrysum.
helichrysum.
Oh, okay.
Laurie Anderson, your hand is up, Laurie.
Oh, hello. This is on a little off the topic, but on the topic of scent and smell. What causes the loss of that? About 6 months ago, I lost my sense of taste and smell, and it hasn't come back. And it's a little creepy.
So that it
Zinc.
can be a side effect of it was one of the side effects of COVID or a viral infection. I'll tell you, this may sound a little nuts, but so some of the research that we've been working on related to the glycocalyx, which is basically the fuzzy layer that surrounds all of our cells, our gut lining, our blood vessels, all of that it's made of sulfated polymers.
Okay.
And so like chondroitin sulfate, keratin sulfate, heparin sulfate, and hyaluronic acid. And my husband, John, lost his sense of smell long, long time ago. And back in 2019, I met someone who had a background in Ayurveda, and I've talked from time to time on here about Ayurvedic medicine, which is the ancient Indian tradition of, wellness, really, rather than sickness. But he recommended, if you go to the grocery store, in the produce section, they sometimes have those little plastic container of small baby onions, like it's like a fresh onion that's about this big around. And he recommended that John eat one of those raw every morning. Not for the faint of heart, but in less than a month, John's sense of smell came back.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. One baby onion.
One baby onion. And so, onions are very high in sulfur molecules.
Yeah.
And also, you eat a raw onion, you're going to be tearing up. Well, your tears make I'm trying to think of the chemical name. I think it's called hypothiocyanate. But anyway, tears kind of have medicinal properties, and you're going to get your nasal passages running. And so I think there's a good chance, I mean, this is speculation on my part, but that, stimulating the production of those fluids is also going to be antibacterial and antiviral and kick out whatever is in there that is obstructing that.
Okay, that's great. And they're just called baby onions?
I mean, it's just
They might be referred to as pearl onions.
They might be referred to as pearl onions, but
got it.
They're no bigger than maybe a quarter or a 50-cent piece. And some of them are probably like a nickel or a dime size.
Oh, I'm going to try that. Thank you. I'm going to try that. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll have to ask him, but I wonder if garlic might have some similar. Of course, nobody might want to talk to you for the rest of the day if you ate a garlic clove every day. But so anyway,
you know what I can tell you also. We're talking about synthetic smells and everything, and one thing that comes through is synthetic smells. When we're out walking, the dryer sheets come through, and I've noticed over time, my clothes now, if ever I'm out and go out to a restaurant, sit in chairs, go to the library, sit in a chair, the clothes just smell unbelievably toxic now these days. And it's increased. I'd say it's even increased. But anyway, those smells can penetrate my lack of senses.
Yeah, because they've been designed very specifically to penetrate.
Yes, and they do.
Yeah. So, I'd say like avoiding that, and also maybe with some real essential oils, maybe trying to rework, kind of training your sense of smell as you're trying those onions.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's a good tip. That's an easy tip too. Thank you.
And let me know how it works.
I will.
I mean, it worked for John, so I think it'll work.
Okay.
Paola, your hands up. I love the bird on your little picture. Are you there, Paola? Or should we? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm coming. Okay. This is an owl that lives in a tree in the park, and it's always there, and it's fantastic owl.
I
Yeah. Well, my hand was up long ago. So about the water, let me come back to the water. We used for long, many years, 20 years, reverse osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes everything from the water. It doesn't have anything, but it doesn't have poison in it too. So, yeah. And in Panama
Then you
City,
need to remineralize if you're using. I mean, I use RO, but I remineralize.
What do you use for remineralizes?
I use Aussie Trace Minerals. Is mostly
in it?
what I use, but I can show you. Hang on.
Okay.
I think it's from and then I also use the Beam fulvic acid sometimes, or I'm just taking the mineral supplement, so I'm getting it. But this is the
See, trace. Aha. Okay, what is in it?
so it's
Can you tell me?
calcium, magnesium, chloride, sodium, and potassium.
Oh, it has everything.
Yep.
Is it expensive? Is it liquid or?
It's liquid, and I think I showed you guys before, but my kitchen is a mess, so I'm gonna try to hide it.
That's okay.
I can't. But I was like, what am I in my kitchen before but I have that swirly water thing.
Ah, yes, yes.
It's running low at the moment, but I fill that up and then I put the Aussie Trace Minerals in there. And it's interesting because you can see them sort of swirl into the solution and disappear.
Also trace. And how much do you put on this bottle?
Well, classically in a Martha way, I don't really measure. I just kind
Of course. Just eyeball it.
I kind of eyeball it. Same way I cook, same way I make my yogurt,
Yeah, me too. I can put in my because I put bottles all over the house so I can drink the water. I can put, yeah, that's kind of convenient.
This says add 20 drops to 250 to 500 milliliters of water. I probably add a little more than that.
Yes. Yeah. If you go too often to the toilet, maybe you'll notice too much. Yeah. And about the smell, I have very, very strong smell, like my dogs. Maybe they have better than mine. But at one point, obviously, I got COVID through the years, and I didn't have any other symptoms except I lost my smell. And that was a horror movie for me. I mean, I felt like I'm dying. It was horrible. So I researched it, and at that time, there were websites that were reporting on COVID vaccines, etc., with all those good doctors. And they suggested that this not Carson oil, castor oil. So this is why I had it. Actually, before Dr. Davis mentioned it, you can put it on your face. So a little bit of castor oil you put in your nostrils. 3 days after, I had my smell back, and I was a happy camper. So yeah, be quiet, sweetie. Okay.
Interesting because castor oil pulls out toxins. So if you're familiar with some of the liver protocols, you use a castor oil pack on the side of the body with the liver, and it pulls out toxins from the liver.
Ah, well, I'm telling you, 3 days later, I had my smell, not 100%, but a little bit. And then more and more and more. And that was fantastic. So the lady that lost her smell can try this. It was effective for me. Yeah.
That's a great idea. And now you reminded me also, because, I am I do yoga multiple times a week, but my teacher has been doing a special class on some of the other Ayurvedic stuff. And they also use a nose oil. And I don't know what's in the nose oil, but I just started doing that this week. This company is called Paavani, and you put a little drop and swirl in each nostril. And the one thing that I noticed after starting this, I've probably done it for 5 days now, or maybe not 5 days, maybe 4 days. Is sometimes I wake up in the morning with a sinus headache when they're running the distillery. And I notice I'm not having that headache now. So
Yeah, it's all over there. You don't have to have distillery. I mean, it's in the air. And
so
yeah,
maybe this helps with that too. Helps the
what
nose.
is it? Does it say what is it?
I think this is a sample. Maybe I can tell from. It's called Nastia oil. It has a.
Maybe it is a castor oil.
Let me look and see if I can tell on their.
The castor oil doesn't have any smell, I believe. Does it? I don't think so, but it's kind of distinguished. It doesn't smell good, though.
It has
By
it
the
is a
way,
very
in the concussion that we make for the face, etc., I put 10 drops of orange oil, and then this is enjoyable to put it on your face.
the castor oil depends on what kind you buy. Because if you get like Queen of Thrones organic, it's barely scent at all.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you want to get one that is actually what do they call it? Hexane free, that it hasn't been extracted using hexane. I'm looking up this Nastia Ayurvedic nose oil for breathing. Does it say what's in it?
Proprietary brand.
Sesame oil, go-to cola,
Ah,
skunk, pushpi, a powerful nervous system rejuvenator,
oh,
eucalyptus, and ravensara. Here, I can show you the website. Now I'm going to have to go buy some more because I actually dropped it on the floor and spilled my bottle.
oh, oh.
Not all of it, but you know. Let's-
Sniff it quickly. Go on the floor.
I can't get it off the floor and put it in my nose. But so I actually am just putting a little dab in my nostrils, but they can actually, I mean, when I've gone to the Ayurvedic, I think I've talked to you before about going to the Panchakarma, and they actually do like put it up your nose and it goes into your sinuses, and that's a whole nother exercise that probably not everybody is interested in. But here's the full ingredient list. Sesame oil, sunflower oil, go-to cola, Brahmi, shank, pushpi, tulsi, fennel, rose, and essential oils of eucalyptus, laurel leaf, peppermint, lemon, cardamom, ravensara, and tea tree.
And where do they source the crops to make the oils from? Do they say?
I would have to do a little bit more digging,
India,
but what
probably.
I would tell you is this one was recommended by the Ayurvedic place that I go to, and they are pretty picky about everything that they use there. So
Are you happy with the yoga, by the way?
I love my yoga.
Yeah. You have to show us one day.
But it's interesting because when I was in Denver, I tried yoga. Most of the yoga I went to in Denver always turned out to be kind of the athletic yoga.
Yeah.
And this is
That you have
actually
to make yourself like a puzzle.
like this is actually a very good studio where like on Friday nights they do something called yin yoga, which is a very relaxing, pull your energy down, kind of let go of the week. You're not doing all this crazy jump around. The Saturday class is tougher and more athletic, I would say, but even it is a gentler. And the ones I do they have one during the week on Thursday nights that's called I've Been Sitting All Week and I Can't Move. And they basically do exercises for you know,
Twisting the
you're
body.
opening your hips and
Yeah.
twisting and opening your chest because you've been sitting at a computer. And so
It's like a sumo wrestlers. Yeah.
yeah.
I know what you're saying. That's very relaxing. That's a good one.
Yep. All right. Mary's been sitting there quietly with her hand up twice.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, so on that recipe of Dr. Davis's, I wrote it down previously, and it's 1,000 milligrams of the Silmera extract mixed with the 50 mLs of castor oil and 50 of
It
ginger.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just
So that I bought a bottle of extract, and it's only like 1 cc, a little bit more than 1 cc. It's no big deal. But yeah,
it's not
that's
rocket science.
what?
It's like cooking, a little of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had a bad reaction to that on my face, so I don't use it on my face. It made my face burn. I use it on my legs and my arms only. So before you slather it all over your face, I would do a test of it on your face. And the other thing was, what was the name of those minerals that you used for your water? You said Aussie?
Aussie, like Australian, Aussie trace minerals.
Okay. And you, okay. Does it taste like seawater? Like the trace minerals from that other company? Oh, I hate that.
I mean, I wouldn't overdo it because you'll taste it if you overdo it. Because like I have noticed a few times when I overdid it and it's like, it's a little off.
I can't, I have a whole bottle of those trace minerals.
But
from
our blood is supposed to be the salt concentration of the sea, the salt mineral concentration of the ocean. It is the ocean inside us. I have this great book, an old book by Isaac Asimov called The Living River. And, one of the chapters is about the ocean inside you.
Well, I've been using Baja Gold salt in all my water when I drink water. So that I can tolerate really well.
That's good.
And I use I bought some fulvic and humic acid. I don't know if it's any good or not, but it's just a little bottle, and you use only 5 drops a day minimum. And I've been putting that in my water too. It's by Age Immune.
Well,
I looked
just
into the B minerals. That's just ridiculous to buy 1 bottle of it. I couldn't afford that.
I think it would be nice to have a smaller size of it, but
Yeah, because so this doesn't come with a bunch of water. It just the drops, and you put it in water, which makes. I wish that Beam would do the same thing, but yeah. Anyway, and then and the Berkey filters, they're not available.
there is now a company that has been approved for
Yes, but have you seen the price? They're $80 for one filter, and they only filter 400 gallons, whereas the Berkey was at least 3 times as much, more than that even.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there and why they've been sort of under assault, but
yeah, they're in a lawsuit with the FDA right now. So yeah,
maybe the FDA should focus on some other stuff that's more toxic.
Rather than something about the filters, they've classified them as a pesticide. How could they do that? I don't know.
Just to be obstructive.
Yeah, just to be obstructive. So so I've been looking into
They have some other pesticides they should be focusing on.
Yeah, like glyphosate. Wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, there's a list about a mile long.
Right.
Which, some of those are in this book, which we'll get back to in a minute. But I think Paula's got your hand up again, and then it's Norma Jean.
how do I get back on the mailing list for the for the newsletter? Because I'm not getting those anymore.
If you go to the website, I think, and let's see, in the
What
top
website? Oh,
BiotiQuest website.
I've been there. I couldn't find anything. Maybe I was just not looking right.
I think, I'm just looking. It should be in the top, or is at the bottom. If you go, oh, it's not there anymore. Well, if you email us at info@biotiquest.com and ask to be added back to the list, we can get you added back.
And it's a list for what's it called?
If you tell them you want to be added back to the newsletter, the book club, and the Sugar Ship Challenge,
Okay.
or whatever you want to be added to, but those are 3 different lists.
Okay. Yeah. Because I missed meetings in September because I couldn't get on. So yeah.
Hmm.
Did you have
I think so. They've also been going through and doing list cleanup. So if you get an email and you don't click on it and you do that for 3 or 4 months in a row, they drop you from the list because it does something to our delivery statistics or whatever. So I'll ask her about that because they shouldn't be doing that but I don't know.
I was depending upon, I was always using Facebook to get on because you would post them previously, but they're not always there anymore.
Well, so I think in September, we had a couple of travel things and, we just missed getting on Facebook, but they should be back on Facebook too.
Did you ever have a meeting with you did one with Debbie?
We did. And you can go, if you want to watch the replay of that, you can go to the YouTube channel, the BiotiQuest YouTube channel, and there's a playlist for the Sugar Shift Challenge calls, and she should be in there.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, Norma Jean,
Hi.
how are you? Long time no speak.
I know. I was in Massachusetts all summer taking care of my dad again, so I just got home. But I have to say, I tried the Perfect Peace.
Yeah.
Biotic. I sleep like a baby taking that. Like,
I love it. Can you go online and do a review? Because it's so new. We only launched it in August, and so we only have like 2 reviews.
really?
Yeah.
It was so weird because I think you had like some kind of a special where if you ordered something else, you could get a bottle for half price or something like that. And I thought, oh, what the heck, I'll try it. Because I did try what was the other one? The
Simple
Simple Slumber. I tried that and at first I thought, oh, maybe I slept better last night. And then, I don't know, after I took it several nights in a row, I didn't sleep. And then I was like, okay, so I started taking like GABA, and I was taking melatonin, I was taking all this other stuff. So I tried the Perfect Peace, and I actually been taking 2 capsules. Like I take them at dinner time, like I just took them now.
Yeah.
And what's in it? I know it has tryptophan, but
I mean, so there's a little bit of tryptophan and tyrosine, and that's to feed the microbes, basically. But there's a Lactobacillus rhamnosus that is known to produce GABA and calming metabolites. And sort of the team, how we design our teams to work together, that team's designed to produce, serotonin and GABA and the calming neurotransmitters, and to just kind of take the edge off, if you will. And it's kind of my new favorite. I mean, I take my Sugar Shift religiously, but I've started taking it like about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I take it again about 4 o'clock before I go to yoga. So I haven't tried it later in the evening. But yeah, I mean, it really takes the edge off of my most stressful days.
I think what I've noticed is, like I said, at first I took it like before bed. And then I thought, well, let me take it earlier. So then now I start taking it, with my dinner. But I take my sugar shift in the morning, and I take 2 sugar shift in the morning because I had that problem before where I was waking up and we thought maybe the sugar shift was energizing me in the afternoon or something.
Right.
So I just take 2 sugar shifts in the morning, and I take 2 of the perfect piece at dinner time. And then by the time it's time to go to bed, if I do wake up, I'll usually go back to sleep. And I feel like my brain is calm.
Yeah.
And I don't think about all the things I need to do the next day. So I just have to say, I just wanted to tell you how great it is.
Well, thank you. I love that.
What's
Love
it called?
hearing that.
It's called what?
What'd you say, Mary?
What's it called?
Perfect Peace. Oh,
Perfect Peace. Oh yeah, and I think I saw an ad for it. Yeah.
I look forward to trying it. Mine is coming tomorrow, so I'm hoping for sleep.
there it is. I love it. It's my new baby.
What time of day do you
So
recommend?
what else except rhamnosus? You said rhamnosus, and what else?
Well, let's see. It has our plantarum that breaks down glyphosate and can help with, also helps with aluminum. It has rhamnosus. It has pediococcus acidolactici, which is proteolytic, so it'll break up some of the proteins. Bifidolongum, bacillus subtilis, and it does have Reutera.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Got
a lot of them have a lot of the
Oh, I
same,
get that.
A lot of them have what?
some of the same things. I'm just wondering how they behave differently.
So it's the genetics of the strains and some of the other ingredients. So this one we're using FOS, which is slightly different than inulin, which is inulin and mannitol, which are in a couple of the other products. So this is a different prebiotic, and you have a kind of a different, you have a different team of bacteria. So, you have some of the same players, but then it's like say it was the Chicago Bulls and one team, or, during one, 5-minute run on the floor, you have Michael Jordan in, and then you replace him with somebody else. I should know the team names, but
That's all right.
but you know what I mean? Like you're substituting one player for another, but you have maybe your core team so like some of our core players, they're not in every single formula, but the plantarum, I think, is in every formula, and the bacillus subtilis is in every formula. Then
I was surprised on what an impact it had versus, like I said, I've taken a bunch of I've taken the Ideal Immunity, I've taken the Heart Senate, I've taken the sugar. Well, I take the sugar shift every day, but some of the other ones I don't take all the time. And then like I said, when I started taking this, I was like, it was such a difference. And like I said, I had tried the Simple Slumber, and it really didn't do anything for me.
Well, Simple Slumber is kind of an interesting one because I have people that without a doubt, like they know right away. And one of my cousins sent me her Oura Ring scores. So for the 4 nights before she first took Simple Slumber, her sleep scores were terrible, and she took Simple Slumber, and her sleep score, like the deep sleep, doubled, and her sleep score went up, I think, into the 90s, which it had not been anywhere near that. And but with the Perfect Peace, we had that. Charlie has a stress tracker, and he could see it within about 15 or 20 minutes. So the thing I like about it is you you feel it right away. Whereas, I was talking on, on my talk with Florence Christophers on the Sugar Shift Challenge, is that sugar shift, I mean, for some people, they can feel an immediate difference. Like if they have a very severe sugar craving or a problem like that, they can notice pretty quickly that that sugar craving is moving away. But the long-term benefits of sugar shift are much more like a marriage and a kind of rebuilding the ecosystem and maintaining it, which is not something you like feel in 20 minutes. So that's one of the things I like about this is you feel the results right away, but like sugar shift,
I have to say, my A1C has not gone down. And
I wonder if it's different in women. I mean, I don't know because I haven't had any other women tell me this, but I had a man this past week who he's diabetic, and his wife put him on the sugar shift twice a day, and he's been on it for a year, and he went to the doctor and his A1C was down 4 points and he lost like 20 pounds. And the doctor's like, well, we haven't changed anything. This is like, this is unexplainable. I don't understand. And she said she just sat there and grinned because she knew it was the sugar shift. But it's like, but the doctor wasn't curious. Like, what have you been doing? Which I found interesting. But I'm wondering if, if there's a, what would be different?
Isn't also, I mean, one of the things like when you're in menopause, all those things are supposed to be going up. Like, and even my insulin, and I don't, I don't eat sugar and junk and whatever. And I want to say my fasting insulin was like 11. So, and I've been taking the sugar shift for a couple of years now.
Okay, that's interesting. Are you doing the yogurts?
I'm like kind of like everybody else. I stopped doing the yogurts.
It is from the yogurt, I think.
I stopped doing the yogurts months ago
because of the insulin.
Just because I couldn't think of anything else, but it still didn't help. I just had blood work done in September, and it didn't change.
Well,
didn't go down.
It probably takes, for A1C, hang on, let me mute this. A1C will take 3 to 6 months to really show a result in your blood work. So if you stopped the yogurt 2 months ago, I probably wouldn't.
No, I think I stopped it in like May.
Okay.
I haven't done the yogurt since May. Maybe a little bit, because I had some left in the jar. So the only thing I was using for, like if sometimes I would make pumpkin bread and I throw like a half a cup in the pumpkin bread. And I know it's going to die in there anyway, but I figured whatever benefit I got from the dead microbes.
So I haven't had a chance to read this research yet, but there's a guy that I follow. His name is Nick Norwitz, and he has a Substack. He's at Harvard or Yale or Princeton, one of those East Coast schools. And he posts a lot on Twitter. And I don't go to Twitter that much, but I sort of follow him. But he's now turned it into a Substack. So I joined his Substack. But he had an article about a paper that had come out about like basically 4 different types of, I think it was insulin resistance or, type 2 diabetes.
I read something recently, but I don't think it was that person. But there are different types of insulin resistance, and I think they were kind of saying if you can figure out where yours came from, and I'm assuming mine came from overuse of antibiotics because I took penicillin every day for 20 years. So
So,
some kind of candida or whatever.
so that was, I actually wrote, we're going back to the book. So I wrote in the margin here, let me see if I can find it. Okay. The chapter where she talks about mold and mold toxins and sensitivity to mold and the list of things. So, she says when we speak about mold, most of the time it's in reference to environmental mold, the stuff hiding in our attics, behind baseboards, above ceiling tiles, and any place that is dark and humid. However, people who are sensitive to mold need to be aware that certain foods are prone to being moldy. In fact, some are not just prone to being moldy, they are always moldy. And that is alcohol made from grains, cheese, coffee, dried fruits and fruit juice, peanut butter, processed meats, wheat, barley, rice, maize, cereals, wine, peanuts and pistachios, and leftover foods.
Yeah, most of those aren't on my list anyway. Maybe
Well,
cheese. Cheese would be the
What I wrote in the margin, though, was, did penicillin cause this? Because penicillin is a mold.
right. So maybe that's
And I'm wondering if just this overexposure to something like a penicillin has altered the ecosystem in a way that there's this hypersensitivity to it.
how do you fix it?
I don't know. Let me noodle on it.
Well, that's that's
Don't tell me my gorgonzola and blue cheese.
yeah, I know.
I love. I love
Ah,
gorgonzola and cheese. If it doesn't bother you, then I wouldn't worry about it. This was actually kind of interesting when we first started collecting stool samples and we were sequencing them. And I used to do a personal phone call with each person and go over their results because nobody knew what that 60-page report was. And I had two different people with these kind of funny stories. One, his microbiome came back with the Roquefort cheese bacteria in it. And he said, "Oh, I love blue cheese. I eat Roquefort all the time." And then another woman's microbiome came back with this particular strain of bacteria, I think, that is used to make sour beer. And she said, "Oh, that's really interesting." She said, "I used to love to drink sour beer about a decade ago."
oh, wow.
So it
that's-
had colonized her and was still there.
Yeah. Well, I did that microbiome, stool testing with Dr. Magarinos. And like I said, came back with, I think it came back with one of the things was strep, which I had. The reason I took penicillin all that time is because I had rheumatic fever as a child from streptococcus. So, maybe, and that was even after 20 years of penicillin, it was still there.
There was some paper I read this week about streptococcus, but I'll have to go back and see if I can find
Well,
it.
from what I understand from a lot of functional medicine doctors is that's one of those things like Epstein-Barr that you kind of keep I don't want to say dormant, but it's still in your system. And, to try to get rid of that. I don't know. I feel like I've been doing this for, 12 years and I'm not getting anywhere.
Do you feel better than you did 12 years ago?
In some ways, yes. I mean, because I definitely have SIBO and I have insulin resistance, and I don't know which came first. And for a while, I thought I actually had the ileocecal valve. Dr. Davis suggested maybe I had a insufficiency where it wasn't opening and closing when it should, and that's why I couldn't get rid of SIBO. And I don't have any food intolerances or anything like that, even though I was tested for foods and they told me I was allergic to all these things. So I'm assuming that's a histamine response. But it never bothers me to eat it. But I had this functional guy test me for all that. And he was like, okay, stop eating this. And it was everything that I eat. And I was just like, okay, no, I can't do that. Sorry.
Have you ever made the fire cider recipe that I have on the?
No, I haven't. I probably have it written down somewhere, but
It's kind of I mean, it's not, you have to, let's say it's not a whole afternoon, but it does take some preparation because there's a lot of chopping and grating and different stuff. But I wonder if something like that, like making the fire cider and taking a shot of that before each one of your meals, if, that might, because part of our issue is not making enough stomach acid to kill the bad bacteria. And this is kind of interesting because I know a lot of health coaches or practitioners and stuff will recommend people take something called betaine HCl.
I took that and it was like, I'm not low in that.
Well, betaine is actually a surfactant, which is kind of one of those problems that Dr. Nenham was talking about with the cell membranes and the glycocalyx. So you don't want to take that. But I think something like the fire cider or, a digestive bitters. But I actually think the fire cider would be better because, I mean, it's something.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll look into that.
And
Martha, what were you saying about the betaine HCl? Because I take that with every meal because I don't have stomach acid. If I don't take something like that, my food just sits in my stomach for hours and hours.
I didn't have that problem, Mary. I tried it. I tried doing that test. And when I did it, I was like, oh my God, I had such horrible stomach pains when I took it.
But what was Martha saying? What about the betaine?
it's like a small amphoteric surfactant. So it can change the structure of the glycocalyx, which I don't think you want to do long term.
No, and I've been taking it for, I want to say a year. Because of I've discovered out that's histamine intolerance, and my doctor diagnosed me with bile acid malabsorption. But my gastroenterologist said my bile, I didn't have excessive amount of bile in my stool, so I'm thinking it's just the histamine intolerance gives me really bad diarrhea. So I take this and also.
Well, you might try the fire cider too.
I'm afraid I don't think I can do the fireside because it's fermented. And I haven't tolerated anything fermented because of the histamine issue. I can't even tolerate L-reuteri, yogurts or any of the probiotics that have L-reuteri in it.
Okay. Have you tried digestive bitters?
Yeah, I've tried digestive bitters, but it doesn't make enough acid still.
Okay, well.
That's not a good thing. Okay.
Martha, is quinoa or buckwheat pretty bad? Because I'm going to eat a little bit.
I don't know. I like buckwheat. It's interesting. I think I'm going to go back to eating buckwheat again. I used to have a place, a little natural grocery store in Colorado where I could get organic buckwheat, and I would make buckwheat and scrambled eggs, basically, which is like an old Russian breakfast or something. I can't remember. But it's been a long time since I've had, but
it's really delicious. I hope my joints will not hurt like crazy. This is what I'm afraid of.
It's a high in gluten if it's gluten that bothers you.
I don't think so. I think it's the glyphosate, honestly.
Yeah, well, quinoa, a lot of the quinoa will probably have glyphosate on it. So what I would do what I would do, this is what I do now with any, like if it's lentil, even if it says it's organic, I soak it overnight with a capsule of sugar shift in it.
Oh, wow.
I do this with the beans and the nuts, but I don't put probiotics. So you say
Well,
you
because
just open.
in our research that sugar shift breaks down the glyphosate. So I'm like, if there's
Oh
any,
my gosh,
here,
that's a good
just
idea.
I just like
But
take
I
it
soak in many waters, so maybe at the last one I'll put it on, or the first one.
I mean, either one, like I put it in and soak it overnight and then I rinse it and
Okay. So you don't change the water many times. Okay.
I mean, I do, but I'm like, I go to bed and it soaks overnight. And so I figure the microbes are breaking it down then.
Now, actually, I have black beans that are soaking. I'm going to put one. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Chris, you've been waiting a long time. And then Sharon.
Okay.
Leslie.
Yeah, I had a couple of things I wanted to say. We maybe 3 weeks ago, a couple sessions ago, Coach Jen really gave a strong testimonial on simple slumber, and to go along with whoever was talking about that. And also, I had a great experience. I've been using Perfect Peace during the day, and I'm glad to hear that somebody has used it during the night and had that work as well for sleeping. I haven't tried the simple slumber because I know it works amazingly for some people and not as well. And so I have to make sure it's a night where I might not have it work so well. But
Right.
I'm going to just go to the Perfect Peace. So I think that's great. So I've got a list of things I was going to comment on. The reverse osmosis, I'm glad we talked about that and the different ways that people are using that system. I myself have a Berkey, but I think it's very unusual that when the first RO systems came out, or maybe I was aware of them, I'd say like maybe 20 years ago, because I have clients who have been on them for 20 years. There was more notice taken of the fact that the water's demineralized, and even some of the systems added minerals. I don't know how they did it, but I think you'd have a jug of minerals and add it or whatever. But it is really a missed factor that I think is worth anybody mentioning when you hear about RO. And there are simple ways. Yes, right. The Aussie, there are simple ways to add those minerals back in. But I literally have 2 clients right now who are very health conscious. So maybe that's making up for some of it, but have been drinking demineralized water for 25 years. And this is not good. So I don't know why that's kind of escaped from the whole vernacular around fixing our water, So
Right.
that's another thing I wanted to say. And then all the talk about the Ayurvedic and the scents and the smell and everything. Okay, what is that? Just a second. I've got to, I just looked it up and I think I can put it in the chat. But I am aware of a National Institute of Health study about using essential oils to resensitize smell and taste, mainly smell. And this is how it works. And we have done it here for my husband with Parkinson's, who lost his sense of smell and a little bit taste. Martha, how about John? Did he notice a loss of taste as well, or just smell?
Some of his taste, but not all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the name of the study, and I'll link it, olfactory training with essential oils. And it is an amazing, fairly simple procedure. At this point, you can order an $800 unit that will do it for you, but you can also do it for yourself. It's 7 different essential oils, and you put it in, oh gosh, a mister, what are those called when you're doing a infuser? Is that right?
And infuse, yeah.
Yeah, infuser, and we'll eat 20 minutes a night. And actually you're just switching out every night a different essential oil, and then it repeats the next week and the next week. And we have kind of let go of it over the summer, but it has been helpful with Lad, and he does smell more than he used to, but we're really going to go after it again. But here's what's really interesting. It's not just about getting your sense of smell back. The research around using it with people who have any kind of cognitive decline, is any kind of neurodegenerative, they are scoring better on, classic cognitive tests, like by, 100% better. I mean, it's just remarkable. And I think what is happening is that the cranial nerves are being reawakened and stimulated so that that's possible. But I'll link that. It's really if for anybody who's dealing with this kind of problem, it's something you can do on your own and do as well as you can with the $800 setup. There's a little bit of a cost setting it up because you have to buy specific essential oils, and I think many would work, but what we're doing is just mimicking the study and the 7 that they used. Okay, so I think that's all I was going to say, except that I wanted to kind of call something, good about the book for me is that I've always been very sensitive, chemically sensitive, since I was in my 30s. And although it was before that, because my mother's perfume used to bother me. I mean, it would upset her because I wouldn't want her to wear it, and she's feeling good putting this perfume on, and her hairspray, and all these things would sort of bother me. So I think I've always been sensitive and maybe not detoxing things like that well. But the way I've measured if something is good or bad for me is if I can tell right away, do I get a headache? Am I getting a backache from it? All kinds. So that's my measure. But seeing this big list in this book, including all kinds of chemicals, I feel like I'm around the beauty products. I'm not big on makeup, but I do use, I would tend to use something if it didn't bother me, but I think that's probably not a fine enough sorting mechanism. So I'm going to go back through and look on my shampoo, which I can hardly use any shampoos because of the scent in them is what triggers me. And I'm going to look and find and make sure that what I am using doesn't have these things. So the book's going to be, that's where I'm going to start. I also remember, I can't find the page, and you're right, Martha. It's hard to go back and find. I did dog ears, so many pages, but she had a really interesting story about a study on microwaves. Does anybody remember how it completely depleted the nutrients?
Oh, yeah. I stopped using microwave ovens about, oh gosh, it's probably been 10 years since I've had a microwave oven, and I don't have a microwave here. We do have one over in our next door in our guest cabin. But like when my kids come here, they're like, where's your microwave? Or, I'm like, no way, not microwaving anything. It doesn't take you, it really doesn't take that much longer to warm something in the oven. Maybe 2 or 3 minutes longer.
Yeah, I think I do. I have limited how much I use it. And we do have one that also has a conventional convection in it that is separate from the microwaving. So but I thought that her little example route, and I thought maybe somebody'd remember something they tested. It was completely depleted of any nutrient value afterwards. So, okay, that's all. Thank you. It's been an interesting discussion tonight. Thank you.
Hey, Chris.
Well,
Yeah.
Chris. So there was a study where they took water and microwaved it and let it cool and watered a plant with it.
That was
did-
it. That was it.
it killed the
Yes.
plant. Yeah.
And the plant died.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. That was it.
As
Yes.
it changes the structure of the water molecules. That's how a
Yeah.
microwave works, actually.
And there's water in everything we microwave, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's certainly doing it to other parts of the food in its own unique way, but it's, water's in all kinds of things.
Well, I have some questions about I have one of those stove convection. Like
Yeah.
I hope that's not working the same way, but I do question that sometimes.
No, the convection is an
It's
internal.
just a fan. It's just a
Yeah, it's
very
here.
No, no, no,
teeny,
not a-
very
not-
expensive fan.
Not a convection. Not in the oven, on the stovetop.
Oh,
The
yeah. I know what you're talking
Convection stovetop. It's a different.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
you can almost heat the water instantly. So I feel like that might be doing something to the water molecules too.
Oh, I see. I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, I got to dig into that. Okay, so I have Sharon and Leslie, and then I'm going to wrap it up with your diagnostic highlight of the diagnostic list, and then we'll wrap it up. So Sharon?
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Good. Okay. I have quick comments that, to help people who brought up questions before. So one person said that their insulin got worse from the dairy they ate when they were trying to improve their microbiome with Dr. Davis's yogurts. I had the same experience. I didn't check my insulin, but I did gain 12 pounds. And the only difference was the dairy from the yogurts. But I didn't want to stop doing the yogurt. So I just switched and I made coconut yogurt, which has much less insulinogenic. And I lost all 12 pounds, and I'm eating just as much yogurt. And Dr. Davis actually said with flow cytometry, at least for the Rotarod, that coconut yogurt caused more bacterial growth, a little more, than the dairy. So if you really want to get the yogurts and not gain weight, this might be something to experiment with, using coconut for that person. The other thing, for the person who was talking about losing taste and smell, and you were mentioning how ubiquitous mold is, another cause, in addition to virus, which we all know from COVID causing loss of smell and taste, is mold or yeast, fungus. And people could have subclinical yeast infections. I guess the good news is probably if you have medical insurance, you go to your primary care doc, ask for a throat culture, and ask them to check for yeast, for candida, in addition to mold, in case you have a subclinical yeast infection in your mouth. Of course, that raises questions, is it other places too? But they can give you lozenges just for the mouth to knock it out. And the taste is the cranial nerve 3, 9, and 10, the vagus nerve. So that's kind of interesting, since that goes from the mouth to the GI tract and the brain. But that can all be colonized with candida yeast. It's, if you don't get better doing these other things, and by the way, onion is both antibacterial and antifungal, so it could knock out both. Maybe that's how eating the onion every day helped the problem if someone has subclinical yeast infection.
Yeah.
The question I had is, I have Sugar Shift at home. I'm taking it to help optimize bacteria and not get like I actually had cellulitis twice from insect bites. And I think those are more gram positive. And so I'm planning to buy it again. And I'd like to buy another one of your wonderful products that may help with, with a either gram negative bacteria or fungus that could complement possibly the sugar shift. I had bought BiotiQuest at one, the antibacterial one rather. I forget what they call it.
Antibiotic antidote is probably, yeah.
Yeah, because but I don't know if you recommend getting that again. I think I have some left. I took it after I had to take antibiotics for surgery. But I'm open-minded. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear anything that might have some antifungal benefits or
So
anti-cancer.
actually, the heart-centered is the only product that we have that it has Saccharomyces boulardii in it, and that has some antifungal benefits.
That's called Heart Center.
Called heart-centered. I think I have it here somewhere.
I'm so glad I spoke with you. I never would have thought of that.
The reason why I thought about it is because I was just working on some website stuff today about the different strains in each one of the formulas. And I was like, oh, okay. So heart-centered has some antifungal action because it has the Saccharomyces.
That's great. Okay, I'll definitely look at getting that.
There you go. Leslie's holding it up so you can see it's there.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, and Leslie, it's your turn. You have to unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted. Thanks for letting me ask this real quick question. It's a general one regarding, I happen to, I've been taking your product now for, gosh, a long time. Maybe 10 months. So I was doing Sugar Shift. I do Sugar Shift and the green one.
Ideal immunity.
Yes, immunity. And, I told you had all sorts of, cervical, breast cancer, finished my radiation several weeks ago. I was really bummed because my A1C was always a little bit on the high side, and I thought for sure it would go down because when I started my treatment, I'd just come back from 6 weeks in Italy eating tons of pastries, and I started watching more what I was eating when I got back, more consistent exercise, and it bumped up. But my doctor said he's not going to take it as a good number because with all the surgeries and stuff, that could have bumped up my A1C anyway. So I'm hoping in 3 months when I test again.
Well, I'm wondering if that's not stress.
Yeah. Because the surgeries were back like the end of May, mid-June, but then I had radiation therapy too. And I finished that about 6 weeks ago, and the blood test was about 4 weeks after.
I'm going to, since that's two of you who have been taking it for a while and your A1C has not gone down, I'm going to do a little bit of digging to see if there's like female hormone things that could make it different for a woman than for a man, and try to think about like if maybe there needs to be a slightly different formula for women. I don't know. I'll have to think about that, but I need to do a little research in the metabolic pathways related to female hormones and how that's interacting with insulin and glucose.
Yeah. Well, I just thought I'd bring that up, and I'm going to start. I keep saying I didn't do that one challenge with you guys because I was starting my radiation, but I want to try and revisit that and do it. But the one thing I did find on your site it talks about starting probiotics, but I've been on yours now for a good at least 10 months, maybe 12 since it's sugar, Kick Sugar Summit again, and that's how I first learned of it. Yeah. I read there about taking milk thistle in the beginning. Since I've been on it so long, is it something you think is worthwhile doing? And I noticed you also said to use the milk thistle in the in the face ointment. Is it a liquid form?
So I actually take a milk thistle capsule, but it sounds like they have a milk thistle extract this liquid that goes into the skin stuff. I can show you. I take Silifos by Thorn, if I can find it here in my counter of concoctions. So, and especially, having gone through, what everything you've gone through, this supports the liver and detoxification of the liver.
Okay.
And the Thorn product is a really good, very bioavailable. What's really interesting, I was talking to a pulmonologist friend of mine whose wife has Parkinson's, and I was talking to him about toxin load and different stuff, and I brought up milk thistle, and he said, "Oh, that's interesting. So if somebody has been acutely poisoned in the hospital, they have a pharmaceutical grade milk thistle that they use. So
Really?
it's a very powerful detoxifier." And when we're sort of back to the book, we have such a toxic burden we're dealing with. I mean, I take the milk thistle every day.
Okay. And then there was also the recommendation of charcoal or else that other stuff. I can't remember what it's called. And I was reading that it can, take too many nutrients out, but I think it only recommends you do it like every other day or something in the beginning. So I don't know if that's just something you do in the beginning and not later.
The charcoal, I think I said like every other day, and you want to take it away from your food, but it will bind up toxins. Some other things that can also help as binders, the fiber citrus pectin. There's a branded one called Pectisol that's had quite a bit of research, but you can get now food citrus pectin. I mean, and it's a kind of a pricey fiber supplement, but it binds something called galectin-3, and there's a lot of research around galectin-3 and Alzheimer's. And what's the other one? So we're actually working on a fiber product to bring out probably in January that's going to have some beta glucan and about 6 or 7 different fibers in it. And each one of them kind of has a different thing that it's targeting. But hopefully we'll have that out by the first of the year. But if you're going to take charcoal, you don't want to take it with your food because it can bind to the nutrients in there. And so like when I take charcoal probably 3 nights a week, maybe. And I take it right before bed after, so I haven't taken any supplements, haven't had anything to eat for several hours. And then I just pop a couple of charcoal pills and go to bed. Paula? So your hand up.
Just want to tell the lady with the cancer, there is a research that, Plumman, please. There is a researcher that is doing a research on tumors of animals, of course. And he is experimenting with aspirin and vitamin B3. I hope I'm right about the vitamin. I think it's B3. And he noticed, so he started first with the vitamins B, and not only 3, I think it's 7 as well. But at one point he introduced the aspirin, and he found on the experience on the animals that he gave the aspirin, the tumor shrunk completely. And the other ones did have it, but unfortunately they have to kill the animals after a certain amount of time. So it's not clear, but he said they had to live 3 weeks or something. I don't know what is the rule. And during this time, they never developed the tumor again, those that were on aspirin. So it's a trial. And of course, it's published actually, and it's science proven. And it's a randomized trial on animals again.
And this is a book a doctor recommended to me. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. World Without Cancer, the story of vitamin B17, which is
Yeah,
Laetria.
It's apricot seeds.
Yep.
And actually what's that tribe of maybe the Hadza? I think
Hadza.
they eat like a couple hundred apricot seeds every day. And that's supposed to be toxic, but supposedly that's what they do.
I love the apricot seeds. I used to do this as a child all the time. It's delicious.
So you crack open the hard part of the seed and eat the
Yeah,
inside?
yeah. It's like it looks like almond, but softer. It's delicious, and I was eating it raw. I
Yeah.
cracked those, eat it like a squirrel.
We grew up with a woman from the southern portion of Italy, and she'd make candy out of those.
Oh, interesting. Well, so there may be something there. So, I mean, I'm not going to go all the way through the details of this, but if you get the book or if you're interested, I can send you the page of it's like it's about 4 pages, but it has a list of questions, and you're scoring 0. You never or almost never experience this symptom. 1, occasionally experience it, but it's not severe. 2, occasionally experience it and it is severe. 3, frequently experience it and it is not severe. Or 4, frequently experience it and it is severe. And then it goes through the categories of symptoms in the digestive tract. The ears, which I found interesting, because itchy ears, like I never thought about itchy ears being a sign of toxins. Emotions, energy, eyes, head and sleep, heart, joints and muscles, lungs, mind, mouth and throat, nose, skin, and weight. And water retention came under the weight. And then it has this other category that's frequently ill, frequently need for urination or urgent urination. Then you add up the scores under each one of those categories and the questions. And so then she categorizes you as, if your score is less than 10, so mine was 9. I got an optimal health. 10, between 10 and 50 suggests mild toxicity. And there's probably a couple in there I probably could have given a 1 that I didn't. So maybe I'm in the mild toxicity. Then between 50 and 100 suggests moderate toxicity, and over 100 suggests severe toxicity. And the doctor who wrote this book, she was definitely in the severe toxicity category. So, if you're interested in this,
Sounds interesting. Really interesting.
I can take a picture of the pages and maybe we can post those with somewhere. I'll talk to Kevin and see what we can do. But I
Are
think
there any statistics of the results after this test that she provided?
of like the percentage of people who fall into no, she didn't give that, but like I would say, just judging from me talking to customers, I mean, we don't talk, like some of these things we just don't talk about, but like pretty much everything under the digestive tract, I'm getting emails from people all the time. I do hear from people like with ear drainage and ringing in their ears. I hear a lot of people with, the emotional stuff, which is mood swings, anxiety, panic attacks, anger, irritability, depression. Hear about that a lot from people. One of the main things I hear from people is fatigue. I don't think she had brain fog in here. But like I would put that in either the energy or head and sleep, but fatigue and brain fog to me, I hear about a lot. Apathy, hyperactivity, and restlessness. The eyes was, I don't hear, people don't talk to me about their eyes that much occasionally, but I notice, because I'm on video all the time, or I'm, watching somebody's video, and I definitely notice the bags or circles under people's eyes as dark circles under your eyes is definitely an issue with toxicity and problems, or this, the color of people's skin. Like, how does she doesn't have the skin color in here. I guess that wouldn't be a symptom you feel necessarily. Then, I hear a lot from people with headaches and insomnia. So, and that's in her category. And then I hear a lot from people with like AFib, racing heart, all that, that's in here. Joints, that's a common thing. People are asking me, like, I'm looking through the list. I'm like, people are always asking me which product will help with this. I don't hear so much from people about lung issues unless they have long COVID. I guess she has the mind category separately. Poor memory, confusion, poor concentration, poor physical coordination, difficulty making decisions, stuttering or stammering, slurred speech or learning disabilities, mouth and throat. This was one, so I never thought about it in terms of toxicity, but John had a chronic cough for 20 years, and so did his father, and they grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. That was a toxic wasteland.
Martha, what book are you taking this from?
That's from the book tonight, Dirty Girl.
Oh, tonight's book. Okay.
Yeah. And I don't have the book in front of me, I don't think, for the next one, but it's the one about, I never thought of it that way, about having conversations with people that you disagree with, or, how we might be able to learn how to talk to each other again. And I think that is just more timely than ever.
Never thought of that.
Called I Never Thought of It That Way. Let me see if I can pull that up. Here we go.
And you have it on your site to order?
I think there's a link. We'll send out a follow-up link with this, because I think it's on that small book group that we. Okay, so let me share my screen. Am I presenting? Can you see that?
Yes.
So it's I Never Thought of It That Way. How to have fearlessly curious conversations in dangerously divided times, which seems like very appropriate for now. Because, we don't talk about the things that people argue about much here. So, like, clearly we probably have 100 different opinions on any number of different things, but we come together with our shared goal of helping each other and having better health. And so I think that as a world and as a country and just as people, we probably have a lot more shared goals than the things that divide us. And so I'm really hoping that book is going to, give us some ideas about how to share with other people, how to have great conversations. And I thank you all for coming tonight and having another great conversation, and hope you have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks. I am hoping to have a speaker then. I'm still trying to get Alan to come back and talk to us about food, but we'll see how that goes, because his schedule has been very busy with all the new food initiatives. And welcome back, Karen. We're glad to have you back, and you look great. And take care, everybody. We'll see you next.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Martha.
have to listen to more talks before I go to bed.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Martha.
You're welcome.
Bye.